During this Veterans Day week, we are reminded that service doesn't always end when the uniform comes off. For many veterans, the transition home can bring new challenges, and sometimes the hardest battles are the ones we don't see. In this week's edition of Shop Talk, Live 5's Justin Kollar sat down with a local mental health expert inside of Ed's Barbershop to talk about how we can better support the veterans in our lives and why reaching out might be one of the most powerful things we can do.
Hey everybody, Justin Kollar here with Live 5 News in another edition of Shop Talk, where we understand that sometimes the most real conversations don't happen in the doctor's office. They happen right here in the barber shop. And to talk more about that issue specifically today, the day after Veterans Day, we have Dr. Hopkins here with HCA Healthcare, Live Oak Mental Health and Wellness. We're sitting here inside Ed's Barbershop. We want to thank them so much for hosting us in this beautiful space. You can check them out yourself. But Dr. Hopkins, we want to thank you also for being here to talk about this. And again, being so close to Veterans Day, we want to help shine a light on this issue specifically, mental health and wellness, behavioral health also. This is something that does not get talked about near enough, but it's a way that everyone can support those who have done so much to support us and our country. So let's start things off here. If you or a friend, family member, barber even, notice that a veteran that you care about maybe seems off or a little bit withdrawn, what is one way that you can kind of get that conversation going without making things awkward?
Well, I think the first thing is you always want to approach them in a non-judgmental manner. Just have a conversation with them. Because a lot of times the hardest action to take in these kind of situations is reaching out for help. And a lot of times people will need that helping hand. Because what we do see is that a lot of people who have either had issues with depression, anxiety, even gotten to the point of contemplating suicide and things like that, a good percentage of them have seen somebody else, whether it's a healthcare provider, a family friend, something like that, relatively recently. And so a lot of times just approaching them, having a conversation with them can be the best thing to sort of get them to open up about what's been going on.
We know this is such a difficult topic to talk about, but we really appreciate having you here to help break down some of these barriers. We know that veterans face such a unique set of challenges when they come home. How is that something that maybe folks like us can understand and maybe acknowledge why those challenges are so unique that they have?
So yeah, like you said, it can be very difficult for civilians to understand, especially if that's not something that we've ever been through. But what we all can acknowledge is that periods of transition are very difficult for everybody. A lot of these people, both men and women, went into the service right after high school. And so, they sort of grew up in this, they grew up in the training, they grew up in the service, they grew up with this sort of built-in set of squad mates, comrades, things like that. And then all of a sudden, when you retire, you go into civilian life, that changes. And so a lot of times what we'll see is that'll lead to sort of like internalization of these feelings of depression, anxiety, whatever they may be. And that can turn into unfortunate coping mechanisms like lashing out at others or drinking, using substances to sort of contribute to that. And I think what we try to need to move towards is instead of perceiving, getting help as a weakness, as a sign of strength. It can be one of the hardest things to do, to recognize that you need help, and then to take that step to reach out. Because it's not a failure to recognize that you're not doing well. It's a sign that you want to live. And I feel like that takes a tremendous amount of courage.
Absolutely. And I want to talk too about some of the resources that are available out there that they can take that first step today if you're watching this at home and realizing that that is a very courageous thing to do. I love the way that you put that. What are some resources that these folks can take?
So first off, if you're struggling with suicidal thoughts or if you're feeling hopeless, like there's nowhere to go, the Veterans Crisis Line is available 24/7, 988. Even before the voice kicks in, you can press 1 and you'll be connected with somebody that'll kind of help you through it. And just reach out, because a lot of times just talking about these things can help you get through them.
Dr. Hopkins, thank you so much for being here with us with HCA Healthcare. We want to thank them for taking the time to speak with us, and also for Ed's Barbershop, again, for hosting us here in this beautiful space. You can find them right off of Paul Cantrell Boulevard here in the West Ashley area. Be sure to come by and get that haircut, but leave the beard because it is Movember, so we need to grow those out to let people know that we are representing men's health out there. And for our veterans, we want to thank you so much for your service and your sacrifice. You can find all of this information and those details that Dr. Hopkins outlined on our website. Just look for it on live5news.com. For Live 5 and for Shop Talk, I'm Justin Kollar.